Fucked up your whole intro, bro. Just
Nah,
get
there's no
after it,
intro. We're just chatting. Um, let's talk low ticket today. Let's talk a little bit of ads. We'll talk maybe some ascension, off low ticket, but mainly low ticket. Because I mean, how much from the campaigns you've run, funnels you built, how much do you think you've generated strictly from low ticket in just the last year, 2 years, just to be recent? What'd your guess be?
Uh, revenue wise, like
Yeah,
from
just overview.
Ascension.
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I mean, when we were running the black book for Jeremy, we were doing. I think it was like 300,000 a month just on customer revenue,
yep.
and then I think over like the 2 or 3 years that we ran it, there was probably, I would say, like maybe 15 to 20 million back end sales. That may be optimistic. I don't know.
Nah, that seems right. Because I mean, I've heard it was doing like 2 million, 3 million a month. That offer.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean like 80% or more of the spend was going to the black book. So
Yeah.
logic would dictate that the majority of the revenue source is coming from there. I mean, obviously later they added B2B divisions and stuff like that. But I mean, yeah, we were doing like 230 or so sales a day, like new customers a day at peak. And then between like multiple channels, right? Like Facebook, Google, and
Yep.
we really dialed in all of Jeremy's organic to all feed towards that. And then like when I was at Entra, we were doing 100 something sales a day. So like I've done like
What's
multiple
Entra?
offers.
Which one was
Entra
that?
Institute, they're not really around anymore. That was
Okay.
Jeff Lerner,
Hmm.
and they had the Entra Institute thing, and their front end was good, really good for ascension, like 10 to 15% ascension rate. All kudos to
Thing.
the co-owner and co-founder of that company. Was a savant when it comes
Hmm.
to like engineering ascension rate and stuff like that.
Hmm.
But the offer wasn't clear. No one knew what the hell it was, so then it started to like tank over time. CPA jacked up when market forces changed and like it wasn't COVID
Yeah.
anymore. Then CPA goes like this and units
Yeah.
go like that, and then you're like, why is a CPA like $400?
The
And
frick.
it's like because no one knows what the hell it is.
um,
You know,
how much can we talk about the black book offer?
I mean, probably as much as we want.
Heck yeah.
That's the one that like I know like the back of my hand. We did.
Okay. Yeah, let's talk about
I
that
should
then.
check and see how many sales we're at now. But the
Are
last
you
time I checked, it was like
because
$110,000.
you still run ads to that one? Are you still
Yes,
involved? Okay. So it's an active client.
active client. I can see if I can find it.
And it's
Give
okay
me
to dox. It's okay to dox this offer. We already have.
sure, but let's
Bro, this is
just
the not
let the sparks fly. Oh man, it's gonna make me do like 2FA and stuff like that.
You're good.
Anyways, long story short, it's like 110,000 customers over a 2 or 3 year period.
Okay. I have some hypothesis for why I think that offers lasted so long and worked really well, but I'm curious to hear your
Sure,
hypothesis.
I want to hear your hypothesis first
Okay.
because I don't have any. I just made
Okay.
it and it ripped and I just rode that sucker into the sunset. Um, I mean,
Okay.
hopefully you don't say that the main reason is because it's called a black book, but
No,
uh,
that is a sick that okay. I do believe okay, so hypothesis, it's not number one, like why I think it's really good, but I will say name is big. I think names are huge for offers. I feel like if the name doesn't draw in or sell itself in a low ticket offer, I don't want it. Like I
yeah,
don't want it.
I think it's overlooked a lot.
Yes, because like my domain, bro. I need it to be great. Like I'm sitting on this domain right now called clientsforfree.com, and I'm like, bro, this thing's gonna sell itself. Like it's already
Yeah,
selling the outcome. So you got to have a good domain. So I think Black Book's big. Um, my other hypothesis on why it's really good is, and I'm gonna pull it up again just so I can look. But I think obviously TAM is a big thing, the total addressable market that you have,
sales is a really big market.
bro. And you guys aren't just niched down to one industry.
That's been a blessing and a curse for me, to be honest,
Okay.
because I think so. Like for example, that was like the main thing was like we were always running really broad, and we were always saying we train like 161 different industries, or like we joke around saying like the only two industries that we don't train is salt mining and underwater basket weaving. Like that was our joke that we used to say like in the marketing sometimes. But so it's like, but then we got to this place where we were so broad that we were afraid to pigeonhole ourselves by like becoming more dominant in any one industry, because then you'd kind of like buy your own branding, or like your audience would
Uh,
niche you into that spot, because they have the black book of insurance.
oh,
It's already done. It's been done for like months, like half a
yeah,
year, but we never launched it because I was like, I don't want us to only launch
yeah.
one, because everyone was going to start saying like, oh, like
They're
their
afraid.
insurance. And I mean, plus like 20% or of the customers are already insurance anyway who buy the black book or something like that.
Yeah.
Not an exact figure, but it's in the top five industries for sure.
Hmm.
But what's really interesting is that we did a workshop in December for the first time. It was like a 2-day workshop with Jeremy, where it was the first time we did like an industry specific, and we did an insurance specific,
Hmm.
like how to overcome the holiday slump. Like, so while most reps like have like a really rough
Mm-hmm.
Q4, how to come out on top type of thing.
Yep.
And we did, I think it was like 11x on ticket sales, because we charged $47.
Yep.
We blasted it to the email list, and then we ran ads for it, and it was I think it was like about a 3x on the ticket sales. Like we were getting people to buy because it was so specific in the language,
Yeah.
like because on the page, because then instead of saying like get better at sales, you're like sell more IULs, or like close more
Yeah.
policies, and you could
Yeah.
use the lingo that they're like, oh, this is exactly for me. And then we ran another one actually a month or two ago, and we liquidated the entire ticket sales, and ended up crushing, and did I think it was like 4.5 or 5x on cash or something like that on the back. So yeah, so like
Yeah.
really really good stats if you go really specific, right?
Yeah.
So like I'm actually of the point now where I think that for most people, because Jeremy's a really big name and
Yeah.
he's like one of the best of the best, that it's much more advantageous for other people doing low tickets to be very specific in who their target audience is, or like who their specific vertical or industry is. Um, and I see it a lot right now where people are like, "Oh, I don't know why my CPA is so high." It's like you're so broad
Uh, true.
that it doesn't
Yeah.
speak to like any one avatar, right?
Uh, yeah. No, 100%. Okay. So obviously, TAM is big. 160 plus industries. That's one of my hypotheses. I like that on niching down, but versus staying broad. I also think the fact that there's a physical book involved, like this beautiful. But was it always like that? Wasn't it digital before?
So that's funny story with that. So it was originally digital, and the CPA was really really good for a really long time. Then when we switched it to a physical book, adding the address fields to the checkout, it jacked up the CPA from like $100 to 155. Some days it was like 180, and it was pretty rough. Then we basically did some. We just like I think the Hermosis talk about like using violence to like basically like overcome something, where you're just throwing everything you can at something as fast as you can. So we split tested like so many different sales pages and versions of the sales page and checkout pages for like a few months, and nothing worked. And then my like senior copywriter guy at the time, he's like, let me just like rework the whole thing. We got a new funnel designer, and the crazy thing was we made it so squeaky clean compliant, and we were actually unsure how like making it compliant would do. So this is like a side note for people who are like worried about compliance. The conversion rate actually went up by 30% by shortening the page dramatically and making it 100% compliant, like no income claims, no like anything. So yeah, then the CPA shot back down, and we were able to scale it back up again. And but the story is that like somebody was like, oh yeah, if you switch to a physical book, your ascension rate will go up to like 9%. And then the ascension rate like didn't change at all. It was
Huh.
basically the exact same. But now we have all these cogs to deliver all these books. But then it turned into something for me where from like a brand perspective, I was like, if we get like 100,000 of these books
Yeah,
on sales reps' desks in
bro,
America,
bro.
then
True.
like there's something that like the digital thing just can't provide. And I think there's like a really long tail effect of that. Because like there's books that I have that I still go back to that are on my bookshelf, and I'll pull them off and I'll like re-go through the course material that
And you
came
like
with it
know
and
the
stuff like
person by
that.
their book, like, oh yeah, you're the dude who wrote, whatever this book. Like
Yeah,
I would know them as that. It's
100%.
always there. Yeah. What do you think somebody? I've never done physical, and I don't think that everyone should start with that, especially if you don't know if the offer is validated or not. Would you? Obviously, you say you'd probably tell me it depends. You'll say, you test it. But for someone who's sitting here, they're probably questioning, like, oh shoot, should I just do physical then? If that's the case, what are your thoughts? Physical versus digital? What do you start with?
So it depends.
Yeah, great. Get this guy out of here today.
So I would say that like you kind of already hinted at it, but if it is a book, for example,
Yeah.
or like I know Anik Singal was talking about like how well playbooks do.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep.
but I would highly recommend, regardless of the book, doing if it is a book, sorry, then like do it digital first, figure out what the economics are going to be,
Yeah.
and then and like figure out the ascension process and dial that in, then switch to physical.
Hmm.
Because I think if you do it too early, you're going to add all of these unforeseen cogs to the business, which you don't necessarily need while you're trying to validate something.
True.
And then, but if you're willing to trade the cogs for like a better customer experience and getting more physical products into, your target markets, homes and stuff like that's, I always joked around and said it was like the ethical way for us to enter their house was to like have us have something physical.
That's
But
true.
but if the ascension rate's not dialed in, the economics are not dialed in, your ads aren't dialed in, then if you switch to physical, you're going to add all these cogs, which you should factor into like your overall like net CPA costs and stuff like that for the business. It's going to put you in a really bad spot.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, so I think so. Obviously, TAM, it being a physical product, I think one reason why I think that's the case is creative wise. Your guys' creatives slap. Like I always love. Like I don't know.
Mm.
You flipping through the book, the page just looks beautiful, and like I just want it because it looks so good. I'm not even in sales, but like the creatives are sick. Like he's holding it up, he's in the whiteboard or flipping through it. Uh, there's just something so cool with it being a
So
physical
the
product.
funny thing was like even when it was digital, we were getting about every one out of two or one out of three customers were actually emailing support asking where their book was anyways. So I was like, these people already think that it's a physical book, even though we've done nothing to advertise that it is a physical book, and it even
Huh.
says digital all over the page.
Huh.
So I was like, let's just give the people what they think they're buying anyways, and
I
reduce
bet
the
you could.
support tickets, right?
Yeah. I bet you could grade. No, it's probably black hat. Oh, it's probably gray because you don't have to say it's physical. But I bet people could take their ebook, print one copy, use that for creatives, and then obviously sell the digital version. And that people like it's some. I mean, I would probably do it for creative wise to be able to go through and be like, this like that'd be kind of sick. But
Well, so actually, so two things I want to say about this is one thing I actually saw somebody do, which was really smart before. Actually, maybe it was Russell Brunson. Was like when you go to check out, you can if it is a physical book,
mm,
give them the option to buy the digital
mm,
at like at half price or like whatever the shipping cost would be, and then you might actually increase the take rate because giving people the option might dramatically increase the take rate of it if they can kind of almost like pick and choose the version of the book that they want. And some people might even buy the digital, read it, really like it, and then come back and buy a physical version or email your support team and be like,
yeah, I
hey, can I
want
just
it.
get a physical copy? Second thing is that was something that I actually didn't really think about from an advertising perspective because I had never done a physical product before either. But when you have a physical product, you can basically just like swipe so many concepts from ecom and like
True.
supplements and like
Yeah.
it just opens up a whole world of ad creatives.
Huh.
I like even some of the best ads that we had. I literally just opened up the book on my
Yeah.
desk and took a picture of it and gave it to my graphic designer. And I was like, hey, just like make some versions of this,
Yeah.
put like headlines on it.
That's That's one thing we're testing with webinars right now is even like showing the slides in the ads. Like when we say there's a workshop, like feeling like clicking through the slides so they can like see it. We've thought about like
Yeah.
printing them out and like flipping through it like it's a book because yeah, the ecom examples you can pull it or even like I know mock-ups aren't the same, but some of our best ads have been the product mock-up with the price or like one maybe a text overlay and that one's like our control for low ticket offers. Like that's always been our best ad.
Yeah.
Someone
Even,
has
yeah,
asked
just like
it.
take the hero image, slap like a price sticker with like a
Yep.
slash and, 70% off type of thing. And,
Yeah.
throw the bonuses in there. But
Yeah.
you never really know what's going to work. Like, for example, with the black book, there's this ad that I was like, there's been so many ads where I'm like, these ads are just going to crush it. And then they don't do anything. And then they end up getting turned off, or they just like the CPA is just not good.
Yep.
And then, so one of the best images is literally just like the black book with like a nice design and stuff. Like the graphic
Yeah.
designer put it together, but it's like the headline overlay on it was shatter old sales tactics. And I was like, not going to work, but I'll run it. I'll just run it because, the team made it.
Yeah.
So I'll run it. And it did like a $40 CPA in perpetuity for like ever. And it still crushes and it does really good on retargeting and stuff too. And
Dang.
I'm like, I don't understand why that works, but it works.
You just test it.
Just
Got to
test
run
it.
it.
I don't know. Just test it. You just got to try different stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So that's good. So we talked about that physical product. Okay. So my other hypothesis is the narrative or the mechanism, how, like the pitch, like I guess, yeah, more so this would be the mechanism. I don't even have to read the funnel, and I understand like the mechanism of how it's going to give me my outcome sounds very exciting because essentially when I read it and go through the ads, it's like the reason I'm not closing more clients or customers is because I'm not asking the right questions. And so it's like if I just ask these questions are going to give me the book, I make more money. So now in my head, all I have to do is buy this book, ask these questions, make more money. And it's
Yeah.
very simple. And so I think a lot of people miss like the narrative of it, like, oh, it's because it's a book or the price, or the funnel. But what I'll never forget about him and his brand, this funnel, is ask the right questions. I make more money.
Yeah. We had like a tagline for a time that was better questions equals bigger commissions.
Dude,
Um,
so simple. Like, and who
we
doesn't?
also had
Everyone's like,
like talk
here's a
less, sell
strategy,
more.
this something, and like whatever frick strategy to close these people and make this much money. And it's like, hey, ask these questions, you close deals. It's like so simple.
Well,
Oh, I can ask
yeah,
questions.
I think the reason why that works so well is because they're so used to hearing lines like closing lines, tactics, like things to say that sound like
Yep.
like they're disingenuine,
Yep.
inauthentic. Where questions are, they're like, oh, I can ask questions, and questions carry the whole conversation of the sales process. So like intuitively, it just makes so much sense.
True.
So yeah, I think that's why it works really well because it kind of like subtly flies in the face of everything else that they've heard before.
Yeah. My last hypothesis I can think of why I think it works really well is the short form page for this market. And I'm a big fan. You know me, I love my small mini low ticket funnels, partly because I'm lazy and I don't want to design anything. But
Yeah.
this design is is awesome. I love it. So short, so simple. It's just like,
Dude, that I've seen that page copied so many
oh
times
yeah,
now.
dude. And like I know scrolling seems long, but this is a lot shorter than most low ticket pages, especially what your guys' used to be.
It
Um,
used to be like 50 pages long type of thing. Like it was pretty long. I think we
because
even took out the whole story arc. Like Jeremy's whole story
yeah,
arc is
people forget that.
gone.
Yeah,
Um,
because
because you got to assume that like people are scrolling all the time. That if
yep,
it doesn't hold their attention long enough, or like as soon as you scroll and you see the scroll bar and you see that little blip is like, you're like, I'm
yeah,
out. But if you feel like you can get through it, then you're going to probably go through it.
true.
And yeah, that was the page that we shortened significantly. That increased the conversion rate by like 30%. And then um, yeah, it's just actually when we looked at the heat maps too, and the scroll depth from like tracking the page over time, I think it was because there's like the above the fold, you scroll
Yeah,
down, then there's like the offer
yep,
section. I think it was like 80% of scroll depth was up to there. And then after that, it just
yeah,
drops.
yeah. Hmm. What are your thoughts though on like you have the button right here? One thing I've tested my funnels, I force consumption for it to go a little further to consume. What have you guys tested not having that above the fold and or having it above, or is that just what you had from the start and it worked?
We pretty sure I've always had the button above the fold, or at least maybe when I first launched it, there was not a button above the fold.
Okay.
But I think so. Okay, so I've a controversial opinion is I've had so many CRO specialists and stuff like that that are like, there's way too much text above the fold. There's no or like the iQuant is too complicated. People don't know where to look. And then anytime that I trimmed the above the fold content back, it lowered the conversion rate every single time. It was like, oh, your page needs to be like super super simple, but it's a case by case basis because like with Warrior Bay right now running theirs, the low ticket that's working the best is so stupid simple, where the headline literally is just the product name and the subheadline is like a line or two, and then it's just like VSL order spot, like everything else is there, and it's that's the version of the page that's working really well. But for this specific offer, it was like if I can basically give them enough information, proof, and trust above the fold that they can make a purchase decision based on just what they see above the fold,
Hmm.
then the conversion rate should, in theory, be higher.
Yeah.
But yeah, one thing I really do want to test is like making that button a pop up checkout instead of sending them to a dedicated checkout page.
Hmm.
Still yet to do that. But I've done that with another client recently, and it's doing really well.
So
Um,
you're saying instead of it going like, so what would the button do, or you have it pop up later, or
it'll be like that button pops up like an order form in the pop up instead of
gotcha, yeah,
like the whole opt into the checkout page and stuff like that. Because I mean, the opt in rate's only like 9% or something like that to go to the checkout page. The checkout rate is really good. And I
yeah,
mean, like this at scale, by the way, if I peeled it back from
yeah,
15K a day or whatever and spend to five, I'm sure that the opt in rate would go up to like 12% just because the audience would be a little bit warmer.
yeah, true,
Um, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff to test for sure. And
yeah,
I've
no,
seen it where some pages have the button above the fold that works really well, and other pages they have it much lower down, and it
just
doesn't
gotta
matter.
test it.
You
You
got to
just
test
gotta.
it. I mean, there might be a theory that if they don't, that the button's not above the fold and they do have to consume a little bit more before they make the purchase decision, or at least the decision to go to the checkout page, that they
Yeah,
might have a higher AOV because
yeah,
they might take your order bumps and stuff at a higher rate.
yeah, but I don't know. It's
But you
so
got to
case
test
by
it.
case. Just gotta test it. Like one thing we did is when we did because we did the same thing where it's like opt in to the next page. We just hit them. We had the offer stack and bullets above the button. So in like headline, mock up, email, phone number, and then we had like the stack, which what they give the opt in then button, and that helps. Which is just such a random like zero test. And it's like you never would know, but that's another thing where it's like that worked, and sometimes it
Yeah.
doesn't on other funnels. So
You
hopefully,
mean like not on the right side of the page, like it was actually in line with the
yeah, yeah.
order
I
form?
can
You put
find,
the offer stack.
Yeah, it was like right. Let me just find it. Pre-sold house. Let me find this quick. Bow, bow. Yeah, the night. And obviously, it's fun to talk about these things. So a lot of people you can pick up. People are going to be able to split test stuff. So it goes like mock up, and then these are the bullets. Such a
This is the
janky
checkout page.
this is the sales page,
Oh, sales page. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yep.
and then opt in, then button, and that worked. So the page just goes headline, VSL, some copy. Then when we get to the product mockup, stack, and then there, because what we saw is people were bouncing, like you said, or some people would go down and they just bounce because they weren't consuming everything else in the funnel. Because this is when we were doing a longer form one. So instead of
Yep.
making a shorter one, we just tested that, and that was enough to get those people that were like ready to buy, just bullets. What are they going to get? And they opted in to check it
Yeah, it
out.
makes a lot of sense because usually like the offer stack and bonuses are hidden way further down the page.
Yeah,
That if you can give that information to them, if they do click the button and snap to your order form, that's just like a reminder of everything that they're getting to solidify their decision to go to the next step. It makes a lot of sense. And actually, I've been using Claude to like mock up split test ideas that I have so I can see them visually. And that was
nice.
one of them that it gave me was like put the offer stack in that spot that you did. So it's funny that you did that.
Those chat, they're stealing my ideas, dude. They're stealing.
Josh Claude 4.0
Yeah.
Gavin.
No, I think my CRO dude came up with that low key. I can't even take credit for that. Whoever that dude, he ran it up. Okay. I want to hear your hypothesis for this. Why is it that a lot of the biggest offers in the market right now, I'm talking like one company I think that almost tried to hire you in the health space, not the one you're with now. I think you're getting interviewed by them, like detox related. Because weren't you talking to them?
Yes, I believe so.
You believe so? Okay. I think I know you. I know you did. But so we had those people. Then we look at that's health, not just biz op, but we do look at biz ops. Some of the biggest biz ops, a lot of Amazon related FBA or Audible books. All these big companies that are spending like a ton, like big spend. Or even the company with you now before you came in, they were doing a opt in to VSL or VSL. Not a lot of them are doing low ticket, and I hear and then you see there's not so many low tickets scaling, at least not on cold traffic on Facebook that I see as much. Like, what is your thought on that? Like, is there a ceiling with low ticket? Can some low tickets not scale as far as a opt-in funnel or a webinar funnel or a VSL funnel? Is there a reason why these companies have these free webinar? I don't know. Like, I don't know, because I see sometimes my low ticket funnels. There's a certain point where it starts breaking at scale. I don't like, especially ones where the TAM isn't big enough. So that's been my initial hypothesis. Like, if there's not a large enough TAM, my CPA starts to break. But also, it could be bad creatives, could be whatever. So
I
I don't
have a
know.
whole theory on that, by the way. I could
Okay.
show you too. I built this like thing with Claude too. Um, it's pretty cool, and I actually ran an example for you in case you wanted to take a look at it on this interview. But
Oh, sick. Yeah.
so like basically with that company though, like they are running VSLs, but it's technically their first purchase is a low ticket. It's $97
Yep. That's
for
true.
the kit, right? So like technically it's low ticket, just being run in a different way.
Yeah, it's hidden.
Different like same concept, different model than what we're probably used to seeing.
Yeah, it's like a webinar almost, or like an hour long VSL to it.
And then they just have like the ascension rates really dialed in. Um, but like some of these other companies, I mean, usually, especially in the biz op space, I tend to find that if they are doing obscene numbers at scale with just like a VSL or something, they're probably saying things and doing things that they shouldn't be, and that's why they're doing it that big. But
That's
I
true.
I think that like personally, if your business is solely dependent on like one acquisition medium,
Yeah.
because like a VSL funnel realistically only goes after like the top 3% of the buyer pyramid, but it's like you're leaving everybody else on the table. And like some
True.
people will buy slow, some people will buy fast. That I'm a huge fan of what I call the value vortex, which is like having multiple
The VV.
the
The VV
like
method, VVM.
multiple conversion paths and acquisition pathways, so that people that have different buying behaviors and are at different stages of awareness in the journey can choose, like they have a choice at least,
Hmm.
instead of like funneling everybody to a VSL. Like how many, because if you think about how many people booked, like filled out an application and did not book a
Yeah.
call, how many people were a lead that never filled out the app? Like the numbers that you would run on those, especially at scale, is insane. How many of those leads are still there, that if you were to have a customer like product
Yeah.
low ticket funnel, you, which actually we're seeing with the company I'm with now, is I basically found out that the low ticket product that we have now is doing a phenomenal job at scooping up warm traffic and putting them back into the front of the sales pipeline just through a different means,
Hmm.
instead of trying,
Yeah.
like where before it was all like one path,
Yep.
and like different funnels will cross pollinate with each other. So a lot of people will say like, "Oh, should I switch to low ticket from my VSL funnel, or should I, switch from low ticket to just like high ticket VSL?" It's like just do both, because they feed each other and they will cross pollinate each other. They'll work
Yeah.
together to raise, like the rising tide lifts all boats.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, there's usually like multiple layers to, I think,
Yeah.
why like low ticket stuff won't scale. And anyways, that's my
What
whole theory on.
what would you Yeah, no, that makes sense. Okay, so with your, let's say you are, this is more technical, and then we'll go back to theory on hypothesis of why you think they won't scale. But when you are cross pollinating, you have different funnels. Do you run them under separate ad accounts, different pages, or do you just keep it all into the same one? When you have like,
Usually separate ad account, separate page.
mhm,
You can do similar, like for example, if it's like Amazon FBA All Stars, and then you have like a low ticket, you could have like Amazon FBA All Stars,
yeah,
courses, like dash
yep,
courses, or like dash something, and it still keeps the same like branding,
yeah,
page presence, and stuff like that. That's
okay,
usually what I'll do. But at the same time, I've also done it before where it's like different ad account, same page, and it doesn't matter.
yeah,
Um, so I think it's like, if you're gonna really scale it, like if you, so let's say if you have like a VSL funnel that's working and it's at scale, if you do crack a low ticket that is being planned to scale really heavily, I would probably segment it. But if it's like you're gonna run it at like low traffic volume, just
yeah,
as like another means to scoop up or like retarget people, you don't need to like segment everything that
okay,
way.
gotcha. That makes sense. That makes sense. Sweet. Okay, so theory hypothesis on why you think a low ticket offer won't scale. And when I guess scale to me would be 100, like 50 to 100 buyers a day.
So I thought you'd never ask.
Bro brought notes.
So
Give
let's
me,
see if I can. Let's see if I could do this. This is a work in progress, so bear with me.
okay.
But essentially, I've been working on something. I might even like write a book about this. We'll see. Maybe make a
Oh,
low ticket book out
oh,
of this.
oh.
So there's this thing. I can't see your face anymore.
No, I can see
So
you. You're good. You're chilling.
so hopefully we're good. But basically, this is like what I'm calling the offer octagon
Mm.
evaluator, where um, hopefully we can edit out like where everybody just saw my text messages to my mom because it's her birthday tomorrow. But anyways, uh, so like these are like the 8 things that I think factor into the scalability of a low ticket. It
Uh,
could probably be applied elsewhere, but the purpose of this is like low ticket customer
yeah.
generation purposes, and like specifically building something designed for cold traffic. Because I think for a lot of people, like they don't even realize how big their warm audiences are. That when they first make a low ticket offer, the page could be total shit, the product could be half baked. It doesn't matter. And it's like if you start running traffic, but you've been running traffic to like a VSL or you've been running traffic for like a year, Facebook's got all these like low hanging people that as soon as you launch it, the CPA is going to be like $25 and you're going to think that like you are a marketing god among men and all this stuff. But then as soon as you scale out of what I call the warm front of advertising spend and you get into that like cold front sort of like traffic, then and the CPA changes and everybody's like, oh man, it's like Facebook is shit, or there's something wrong with my creative, or there's something wrong with this or that. It's like, no, the thing was just not designed to scale beyond that certain level of spend. And if you are running a VSL in tandem, what that offer is actually doing is scooping up a lot of people that are in orbit of like that level of spend that's made them more aware of the company. And then
Yeah.
when you introduce this and you have it to a certain level of spend, it'll float because it'll have the spend that keeps feeding that audience. But as soon as you scale it past a certain point, then it gets out of that warm front, like I said. But basically, there's initial commitment, result time frame, trust threshold, implementation versus education focus, value visualization, ascension path, and audience specificity and mechanism clarity.
Mm.
So like what you can do is basically rate each one of these things to get like a score.
Yeah.
And if it's going to be really heavily scalable, it should probably score over a 70. And if it does score like over an 80 or a 90, you're probably going to have like a much higher spend threshold
Yep.
available to you. So it's like initial commitment is like, how much commitment did they have to do to get the result that you're promising with the product? Or is it like really easy, minimal perceived risk type of thing? So you're like, cool, I'm promising that they can do like XYZ in 5 minutes a day. That's probably going to score like an 8 out of 10. Result time frame. If it's like, hey, you'll feel better or you'll get results in like 90 days, that's much less sexy than 7 days. So if you have like 7 or 3 days, then you're like, cool, you're in this zone. Like trust threshold. If it's like I think BizOp is gonna, if it is like something that's BizOp related,
Yep.
you're going to have so many more trust elements on the page to prove that you are credible and not scammy. And I keep hearing stories about people getting ripped off or people like buying stuff that doesn't even exist. So like that market is extremely
Yeah.
skeptical,
Yeah.
as opposed to maybe you're selling like a low ticket book about like SaaS, like how to build a SaaS
True.
business. Then it's like those people are probably much less jaded. But anyways, let's say that you hit a decent number there. Implementation. So like this is a big thing. This is like the implementation focus thing. I think is a really big thing because a lot of times people will take stuff that exists from their courses and they put it into a low ticket thing, but they don't realize that what they actually did was make it feel like they've got to basically consume so much material in order to figure out how to get a result. Whereas, so I'll give you a really good example. So I worked with this detox coach.
Yep.
He's like the top detox dude, right? And actually, that's the name of the
That's
brand.
his name. I was like, bro, that's his name.
So that's his name. If you want to look him up, he's like a top G. But when I started
Okay.
working with him, he just had like the detoxification blueprint,
Yeah.
and it was doing okay. But then I changed the only thing I changed was the 14-day detoxification blueprint. So I just added a time frame component to it, and then I had him reconstruct the product because everything was like, it was like week one, water. Week two, like what foods to eat, what foods to avoid. Like it was so much content that they had to consume that for them to feel like they were going to get a result from it was so education heavy versus implementation focused. So I was like, dude, just make it so that every day of the 14 days or every couple of days, they follow a very simple
Bro, I literally
protocol.
bought that. I bought this.
Right. So you know what I'm talking about. So I was like, so it's
Yeah.
like the first day you do like a hydration elixir or
Yeah.
something like that, right?
There's salt
Then
water.
then you
Yeah.
do the
Yeah.
saltwater flush, and then it's like, and actually my buddy went through it, and he's like, after he did the saltwater flush, he's like, I feel amazing, and that
Yeah.
happens on like day 2 or day 3,
Yep.
and he ended up getting, like, after he ran it for a period of time, he started getting people reaching out to him like in his Instagram DMs and stuff that was like, dude, I did the 14-day thing. I feel absolutely amazing from the just from those protocols. I'm ready to, like, I'll pay for your mastermind. I don't care what it costs. Like, I want to get into that and do that more. So you want to, for cold traffic scalability, have the offer be more implementation focused. Don't just jam a bunch of videos and shit down their throat about, well, all this stuff that they have to watch and consume, as opposed to follow this implementation plan where it only takes like 10 minutes a day. They're like, oh shit, I could do that. Or anytime that you could do that or add things
Yeah.
that make it so easy for them to implement, it'll increase the scalability for sure. Value visualization. By the way, if you want me to stop, just let me know. But
Cook. Keep going, bro.
we're
I'm
gonna
listening.
cook.
It's funny because a lot of this is aligning with like the hypothesis I thought of why the black book like worked. Like it's cool to see how like this stuff is tying in. So it's like we have seen the proof. We know an offer that's made it like is validating what you're now teaching. So this is really good.
All right. Okay. Cool. So
I agree
we're
with
rolling
all of
then.
them. I think all of these make sense.
So then value visualization is like, because a lot of people will be very abstract and ambiguous in like what the actual benefits and outcomes are, where it'll just be like a product name that sounds cool, but it's very unclear as to like what they're going to get, how they're going to get it. This is a very like big how thing. And for example, um, like obviously you can bake this into the copy, but I think that, you know how we're talking about the old way, new way,
Yep.
and like that style of ad, that is probably one of the top three value visualizations that you can have in your funnel as a visual way
What's
of,
number one?
I mean, it's one of the top three. I think one of my other favorite, let me make sure I'm not crossing over here with any of these before I get into that.
You're good.
I mean, I think mechanism clarity will be another one that I'll get to that in a second, that adds to value visualization and kind of like supercharges that a little bit. But the old way, new way thing is so strong for that reason, that they can clearly see that what they're currently doing is not as good as this new way of doing it. I mean, another way I've seen it done before is like flow charts and stuff like that, especially if like your audience is into stuff like that. Because I don't know if you've ever saw Nick Cosman stuff,
No, I
but
don't think so.
so he had salesprocess.io. RIP was a great thing for a time, but essentially he had it where it's like he had these flow charts that showed you if then logic, that if you hit XYZ numbers and your business can scale. And that when you look at the flow chart, you're like, holy shit, I want that flow chart. But B, it was like, I see a crystal clear path for me to get the result that I want.
Yeah.
So there's multiple visual ways to do it. Old way, new way is one of the simplest and most effective ways to do it.
Yep.
Actually, the other thing, one of the other ways that's good that I know that we are familiar with is like that, where it's like you can like you can do it this way and you'll
Oh
get
yeah.
results in this time frame, or you can do it this way and you'll shorten the time frame and you'll get like these outcomes. Um, Ascension path. This is a big thing too. So a lot of people, when they focus so much on like how can I get a low ticket to generate customers, that they completely overlook how can I create a low ticket thing that will sell and maybe even will have a higher CPA, but it's so congruent with the back end high ticket offer that the ascension path is so seamless,
Yeah.
logical, and easy to engineer. Not only for you as like the business owner, but also the customer needs to see that there's that like this is the first step to
Yeah.
XYZ thing, right? Like, and if you can map out in your offer
Yeah.
what comes after the problem that's being solved by the low ticket creates, then they see like, oh, and actually one of the best ways I ever saw this done was there's a book called the thought leaders practice,
Okay.
and they had a belt, a tiered belt system. So it was like white belt, and so it was belt color, like salary or like income, and then what your core problem is. And so it was like white belt, you're making 50K a year as a thought in your thought leader business.
Yep.
The number one problem you have is that you suck at sales, for example, right? Or you don't have an offer.
Yep.
And then it's like yellow belt, orange, you get the whole concept. And when you look at that, if you are a thought leader, then you're like, I see a crystal clear path for like all the next pieces, like where I'm
Yeah.
supposed to go with this. Um, Anyways, moving on to not belabor the point, audience specificity. We talked about this as well. This is where you have to factor in like the sweet spot between TAM and
Oh yeah.
specificity of like how clear you can make the language, right?
Yeah.
So, like people, again, using the Jeremy Miner example, from what I saw from experience from running different things there, generic stuff would kind of like almost convert like down here, but we
Yeah.
would still clean up on the back end because Jeremy is a top G.
Yeah.
But anytime that we did something that was industry specific, the conversion rate was like that. It
Yep.
was like a 9 out of 10. So, and I think that people are still overly fearful of putting themselves in a bucket when it's like just reverse engineer. Let's say that you like whatever you sell. Let's say that there's like plumbers, HVAC, and electricians that buy from you. But then you find out that like your highest LTV customers, who are also the easiest to sell on the phone, are the HVAC guys.
True.
Then just go after HVAC and
Hmm.
eat the CPA increase on the front end. And the CPA might actually be
Yeah, it might be
better.
better.
I would actually argue that it would be far better, and the ascension path would be easier because then you only have to optimize the experience for one vertical, and then every single, instead of like having all this segmentation stuff, you can literally just, which you could obviously do that later, to scale the business further by opening up to other verticals. But if
Yep.
you can focus on one vertical first and really nail it down, then instead of having like generic follow-up emails that you can't be specific about, if you can be ultra specific in the follow-up emails and the text messages and the emails and everything that you're sending to them, and the retargeting ads that specifically calls out to the very things that they stay
Yeah.
awake at night about, it's like, then the conversion rates and the scalability of it will be exponentially higher. And then last piece of this is mechanism clarity. Most people don't have a mechanism at all, and they're like, I don't know why my CPA is so high. It's like because you're competing in a market that has such a high level of awareness that like not having the mechanism like present is totally killing you. But if you can get it up to there, so there you go. We got strong performer.
Yep.
Um, because I mean it's easy to do this just by sliding these things around.
But it,
I
yeah, it
have,
helps you visualize. Obviously, it's like I love how you're talking through what it looks like for you to grade it, which is good. So I think it makes plenty of sense. And obviously, I think this is good because it allows you to audit your offer and maybe scroll through and be like, like is my audience really specific? I'm not okay, maybe not. It's just I like it. It's very clear way to
and you can
audit
see
it.
like I just changed a couple of them, so it's like cool areas of improvement. And then you just focus your attention on like refining it there, and like you can. The beauty of today's day and age is like you can literally give this scoring, and you can give it like your sales page copy if you have some, to ChatGPT or Claude or whatever thing you like to use, and be
True.
like, hey, these are the two areas I have to improve. What can I do to this product stack or offer stack to improve this, or to the copy on my page to improve it? And it'll give you some ideas and stuff like that that you can use. Um, but yeah, so going back to the mechanism thing, one of my favorite, like, so going back to the value visualization, I think is tied to mechanism clarity, or it can
Yep.
be, where, like, for example, Iman Gaji, he had for a while this like a pentagon which was like the 5 pillars of a successful, scalable, and highly profitable online business. And it was like capital needed to start, ease of like skill, like learning the
Oh yeah, and
skills
you like
needed,
graded
right?
them.
All Yeah, he graded them and he graded multiple ones, and then he obviously positioned it where marketing agency was the one that ticked all 5 of the boxes, right?
Yep.
And then you can visualize the value that way, but you also see mechanistically through the visual how that's the only logical business model for you to do, which obviously makes you buy the program. As long as you're doing it ethically, I think it's phenomenal. I mean, like back in the day, Dan Locke had the wealth triangle, which was like high income skills
Yep.
and then, investing and something else. I can't remember what it was, but whenever people saw that, they were like, holy shit, that makes so much sense. And the reason why he had that everywhere was because he wanted it to be so that people saw that the first step that they had to do was high income skill, and that high ticket closing was like the best possible way to do that.
Mm.
And I'll show you another example of this as well. Is my screen still sharing? We still
Yeah, dude.
good?
Yep. Still see your mom's
So,
text. Just kidding.
so this is ours here, right?
Yeah.
So mechanistically, it's like the AIDA model versus the NEPQ
Oh,
model, and this thing is flipped on its head. Ideally, this
why is it
thing
so
should
tiny?
be, I don't know. It should be way more. It should be way more prominent, to be honest.
Such a good offer. You
Uh,
don't even need it.
it's such a good offer, you don't even need it. But like that's an example of like
Yeah.
we have ads and stuff like that all over the place where it shows
Okay.
that stuff that we've done where we show that model and people are just like, holy crap, that makes so much sense. And just for fun, by the way, so I literally took the moves method, copied the sales page and pasted it into the offer octagon thing.
Yep.
And so apparently it has about a 70. So as we know, or I mean, we can assume
Yep.
based on like how much they're spending, because I see their ads everywhere, that it is scalable. But like this will easily call out some stuff that you should pay attention to. So like audience specificity, if you notice on that page, it's like athletes, 40 plus, fitness enthusiasts, total beginners. It's like just pick a demo and pick one that has like the highest level of pain. So like pick people that have back pain, which is like so many people can relate to that. And if it was like if the moves method was positioned as like a low back mobility or like low back freedom formula or
Yeah.
something like that, I think it would do way better than just like
Yep.
trying to target everybody. But like the nice thing is that you could have different pages that have different ads that speak to different avatars and just change the above the fold post click experience to call out the avatar and change the language slightly to be matched to that avatar. Um,
True.
what
True.
else? I also don't think Um, I don't think that their mechanism is very strong. I would not give it an 8 out of 10. So, like, if you actually go to this page, there's no, it's a 3 step moves method system. That does not sound unique at all. So, sure, there's like a take at a mechanistic thing, but I would imagine that this thing would convert so much higher and the CPA would cut so much
Yeah.
if there was a very specific and curiosity induced name
Yeah.
that made people go, "Oh, what's that? I haven't heard of that before." You
Yep.
know?
Yeah. Because that's why I was wondering. I was looking at phone like, dang, it seems so simple because there's nothing crazy about it, which is like, hey, a great TAM, big pain point, like a lot of results that can do that. But yeah, it would probably crush if there was like comparison or showing how, like, okay, move. What am I doing? What kind of movement? What makes this different from the stuff I'm watching on YouTube? You know,
Even
like,
if you literally just called it like the MB3 method,
yeah,
just call it like just put like, and then people are like, "What is the MB3? I've never heard of MB3. What's MB3?" Because and then if they, as long as they then again couple that with like a visual representation. By the way, Claude could help you with this stuff too. Like
yeah,
I've come up with like mechanistic ideas and stuff like that I give to
yeah,
Claude, and I'm like, hey, make like a unique mechanism visualization or like a mental model that people will immediately understand and go, aha, holy shit, this makes so much sense. And it'll literally like spit out like a really cool. I did that actually for the company that I'm with now. So I'm probably going to be rolling that out pretty soon because it's pretty solid and it's something that they're missing right now. And I
Nice.
bet that most
Yeah.
businesses in this space are missing that.
Yeah. What do you think though? Where does that backfire? Some markets like health, where there's all these methods and stuff, and people may be like, "Oh, like what is this?" Like, do you think it can backfire? Like, it's something to do, like especially the company you're in now. They don't do too much. That's very simple, and I wonder if that attracts a certain segment of the market that's annoyed of these clickbanky mechanisms and claims and miracle methods and stuff. Like, do you think that could backfire to being too mechanistic, like unique?
I think if there's not enough trust elements to support the validity of the mechanism, then in like a really saturated market like that, I don't think it would work as well
Okay.
as like so it's like if you don't have the proof that your shit is like the best, but like for so let's use an extreme example. So let's say that you have some supplement that uses some type of like new technology
Yeah.
to increase absorption or the way it's processed, and then and you'll see this actually now with like a lot of them where it's like they're third party lab tested. They ran like a 12-month study that proves that their supplement is superior because of that like mechanistic approach to like how the supplement's manufactured. Then and then they have like peer reviewed studies and stuff like that, that like all this crazy stuff that supports it, then I think it works.
Ah.
But if you just like slap some like abbreviation of like I said like MB3 whatever, like if you slap that on there but you haven't actually like validated that that actually is the
Yeah.
mechanism behind the product that makes it work,
Yep.
then it won't work.
Yep. That makes sense. That makes sense. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, even with our, it's so funny. One of the brands that or offers I'm publishing, I had a name for like the brand, like the company name. And then what's funny is when I tell the doctor we're publishing, the company name could actually be broken up into an acronym for how he actually gets filled those results. It was just like, bro, no way you can plan it.
It
It was
was
so
meant to
perfect. I'm like,
be.
I was like, yes. I told him, he's like, wait, it works. And I'm like, dude. So yeah, we're definitely gonna use that and be like the company name, but also have like the blah 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 method. And so yeah, I think that that's definitely helpful to do.
That's why you're the best in the game, man. You just
I'm the
ripping it by
domain.
accident.
I'm the domain, the low ticket. I should just like specialize in low ticket offer like names, just the names,
Names and domains.
bro. I'm gonna buy that domain,
Names and
namesanddomains.com.
domains. Actually, that was the funny thing. There's so many like online business owners.
Yeah.
They're, I swear to God, they have like the domain. They must have like a domain purchasing app. That's like
Yeah.
as soon as there's like a meeting, like you're in a meeting and somebody has an idea, they're like, "Oh, just got it, just bought the domain,"
Yeah.
and
Like,
it's like before you even finish the sentence, they're like, "Got it." We're like, "Cool, we're probably never gonna run that, but I mean, at least we got
yeah.
it."
Dang it. Just leaked it. Now I was going to have it. No, I feel like that's me. I'm the guy buying those domains. I've like too many. Okay, dude, that was good. That alone, that's fire. I love that. I'm trying to think what else like logic ads. I don't want to go too deep into ads because that's just you just got to test and there's all sorts of strategies. Value vortex, I think is dope. You kind of hit on that, having multiple funnels. Is value vortex outside of like? Is there another piece of it where it's not just having a bunch of different financial models? Like, not just is it? Explain me the value vortex deeper. Uh,
Ooh, I wish I could. So I have a
or
lot
just a
more work.
theory, you know, because I feel like
Yeah.
you hit on a little bit. You know, have a bunch of entry points, give a bunch of value. Maybe it's guerrilla marketing. Maybe it's very similar to just right. What Gary Vee's like right. What is it? Jab, jab, right hook type vibe. Is it that kind of
Yeah. So it's
philosophy?
like, it's basically that from a bird's eye view, the thinking behind the value vortex is that everybody assumes wrongfully that the conversion path is linear,
Mm.
and there's like this incessant desire to know what ads somebody clicked that made them buy, what did they see, like
Ah,
what's the, and like they want to go like, you know, ad click sale boom, and it's like it doesn't work that way in real life because
true.
they may have been following you for 3 months and then saw the ad, or they may have seen, like, there's been many times for myself, for example, where I've seen an ad like 20 times and then I finally click on it just because, like, maybe I was like checking in to see what my friends are doing,
True.
and or like maybe I'm in the bathroom and I run out of time.
Yeah.
It's you never know, but it's like, or and then, like, 2 months later. The other thing too is, like, people's emotional states, pain points, and stuff like that are dynamic. They change. Where, let's say today I don't have any issues and I'm totally fine and I'm happy, and then 2 months from now, you know, 14 people from my team quit, and I find out that, like, I had like a hiring pipeline issue, I had a leadership issue, and then I see ads for leadership that I may have seen the same ads 2 months ago,
True.
but it wasn't relevant at the time, but now
True.
it is. So the concept of value vortex is basically that the conversion cycle is cyclical, it is dynamic, it's like a living, breathing thing
Yeah.
versus this, like, linear click, checkout, buy, whatever type of thing.
Yeah. True.
In that, the construct of the value vortex, if you think about, like, like the funnel model, like tofu, mofu, bofu.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's almost like, look at the funnel from top down instead of from a side view that everybody looks at it. And that is like the cyclone that is the value vortex, where on the outer rim of that vortex,
Yeah.
you've got free stuff. So that could be, your IG reels, like just all your
True.
social media presence, tweets, whatever. And then, like, a layer in from that could be like free stuff like lead magnets, which is like, instead of just something that they can consume via platform, they have to exchange their
Yeah.
name, email, possibly their phone number, and possibly their time to actually consume and implement whatever the free thing is. And
True.
then layer in from that might be like where your low ticket resides. And then the closer you get to the center of the value vortex is, like, the dollar value goes up as you go in.
Mm.
And so, and the theory is that, like, the more people consume and the closer to the center rings they get, the quicker they travel through the vortex to further conversions and
Mm.
increase LTV as they get to the center. Because
Mm.
that's actually how a vortex works. Is the pole is weakest at the largest outer ring and is strongest at the inner center.
Oh. Bro's scientific over here. Bro's
We're
got the
going quantum.
dude. Shoot. You got the octagons, vortexes. Dude, these mechanistic names are fire. Have you?
So
Have you?
I'm working on my own brand name that is probably never going to get published. I'm kidding. Hopefully I will. Maybe you'll publish me.
I'll publish you,
But
dude.
the
No, I
name
actually
that I
have a
have
couple.
is,
I have an idea. I'm launching another thing, and I want to. We got to chat
we got to
because
chat. But the name I have right now is Conversion Kinetics.
conversion. Did you buy that domain? Do we need to buy it before we
I
release
think I
it?
bought it. I bought it. I bought
Okay,
it.
okay. Because valuevortex.com is taken. Did you buy that?
I did not buy that.
Shoot. Someone for
I
the last
do.
podcast, dude. Someone got that.
Well, probably. I mean, I've started saying, it actually became a thing, like, with one of the, I think it was at seventh level. We actually used to put, like, the tornado emoji in Slack, like when something was, like, related to somebody that, like,
That's so
because he'd be
good.
like, oh, what was the customer journey for this guy? It's like, oh, followed Jeremy for 3 months, bought a black book. Actually, the funny thing is too, people don't realize this. We had this guy that bought the black book like 3 times over the course of 2 years, probably because he just forgot that he bought it, and then he would, like, buy it again, and then he finally became a client after like 2 or 3 years of being in the ecosystem.
Yep.
And again, like, to further enforce the validity of the value vortex, because I love alliteration, so I had to use the word validity, so it all worked together. But, like, there's launching the low ticket
Yeah.
for the new company, for example. It's like you look and it's like they opted in like 2 years ago,
Yeah.
and then they clicked on all this stuff and did nothing. Then
Yep.
they bought the low ticket. Then they had their call. Then they bought, and it's like, it's so when people ask, well, I want to know like the exact ROAS of the ad, but like by day, linearly. And I'm just like, just shut the fuck up, man. Like it's not possible.
Bro,
You
your
can't.
Chad bro marketing voice was so funny. You
It's
really,
just, that should
you
be
really
the intro. We should make that the intro.
all right, I got you. Just make you seem like Andrew Tate, just such a
Yeah.
douchebag. You're like the sweetest dude.
I'm Canadian,
Ah,
so
true. Yeah.
51st state all the way,
Let's go. Join up. Nah, that's true though, because it's funny. A lot of our customers, like people, just like buy and I'll go look, and it took like 3 months. And so my perspective is like, or I feel like I came from a spot where it's like we need to keep selling stuff, keep selling, get the customers in, or like why is someone not buying? Like I need someone to buy right now, and I'm like, dude. And I remember Sam Ovens said this. He's like, the result you got today is the result of what you did 3 months ago. And I heard
hmm
that he's talking more productivity or like whatever. I'm okay. But then I started seeing that our customers, when they come in, they buy like a high ticket, mid ticket offer. It was like 3 months they'd enter the funnel sometimes, like most of the time. Obviously, there's like the 20, 10 or 10% that will go right away. But I started noticing, like, dude, okay, so that means right now, somewhere on my list, like I need to send this email today. I need to do something to prepare the person who's not going to buy this month, not next month, like the 2 months, 3 months later. Like I need to make sure I'm doing them a service and not, hitting with more promos too early or not doing anything at all because I'm lazy. It's like, no, there's people on your list and you just have to like look at your list and be like, no, there's gold in there. It's like, you don't know, but it's like 3 months, 6 months, they're going to convert. And I
Yeah.
just never had that perspective before. And I would just be like, I need same day conversions. I need buyers. Why am I not closing people? And then I wasn't like doing the basic stuff, like giving value. I was just telling them to book a call and yelling at them and wondering, blaming the sales team for not closing
Yeah.
enough people.
I think that one of the best, I don't know if he's still like this, but Ian Stanley, if you know who he is,
Oh, I don't. Ian
he
Stanley.
he's so good at nurturing the people that he has on his list that he just keeps coming out with stuff, and it's like the same couple
Mm.
thousand people buy, but they'll buy whatever he
Oh,
puts out. So like the LTV is so high, and like I think he's a little too extreme in that regard, that he's like always
new stuff,
recycling the same
people.
people. But he
Yeah,
he is like a perfect example of like the thousand true fans concept.
true.
And I think that a lot of us can do better at that, like you're saying, like doing better at nurturing and like not always being concerned with the sale, and remembering
Yeah.
that,
Like,
just
hey,
empathetically remembering that people are on different paths and people have different states that
yeah,
they're in right now, and they need to be spoken to differently.
yeah. And then that's where scale and volume saves you because obviously the more people you get to, the more buckets there will be of the 3% who'll buy right away and more buckets of these people. And so sometimes your problem or your solution can be just get more people on your list and get in front of more people. And instead of being like, how do I use financing to fix this? Or how do I use gray hat, black hat claims to squeeze people out? Like I think there's
Yeah,
other ways you can go about it.
absolutely, dude.
That's great. I'm trying to think what else. I already have so much stuff I took away from this. Oh, I know what I was gonna say. I know what I was gonna ask. Okay, what are your thoughts on like you have a Jeremy Minor type situation where you could be in a lot of industries? What if the funnel's generic and broad, and your ads are pulling in these individual people? Does that mess things up? Would you ever do that?
You mean to have
Like
like ads that are specific to insurance people or real estate people or whatever?
exactly, yes.
Um, I think that you can still do that, and it would probably work. It's just that you kind of end up with, you may over time and enough spend create a little bit of market confusion if they are
Mm,
not like mutually exclusive ads of each other, which I don't think you can do that perfectly.
true.
Where, what if a real estate guy sees an insurance ad too, and then he's
True.
like, oh, I thought that this was for real estate. And also, if the
Dang.
product
True.
if the product is generic, and it doesn't like match their expected experience based on the ad they saw, then it creates
Shoot.
cognitive dissonance, which may make the conversions not work
Dang.
for them. It's a conundrum, you know.
That's true. It's so annoying, but it's like, dang it, bro. Because like one of our offers, like there's different people it can go to, like different people in different professions. And I thought about like niching down, but niching into one of them, the TAM isn't as big as I want it to be. So I would just have to like multiple funnels then and multiple things, or like,
mm.
or I go broad and just try to get them all in. Which,
I
yeah,
think it's much easier to do what you're saying if it's segmenting based on pain. So, using a health example, if
yeah,
it's like you have ads that are about menopause related weight gain, hormonal weight gain,
yeah,
and then they go to a page, a version of your page where the above the fold and like some of the
yeah,
copy is about that, and then maybe you have another ad that's about thyroid issues, and it has like, and then when they see the post click experience, it's like thyroid related angles and stuff like that. That
mm,
makes more sense and is less worrisome to me
yeah.
than like having an ad that's like, hey, if you're 40 years old, and then having another ad that's like, hey, if you're 30 years old, then it's like, then you're starting to like trying to bucket yourself into like different weird spots.
That's
So
true. That's true.
yeah,
That's
or like
insane.
insurance versus real estate versus solar
Yeah,
versus
that's so
whatever.
different.
Because
Yeah,
if it does take off and you're like, hey, this is doing so good, scale it up, then everybody's going to be like, oh, that's the insurance sales guy. And then you're like, shit, I accidentally bought myself the brand of being
shoot,
the insurance sales guy when I was
shoot.
actually much broader than that before, which may not necessarily be a bad thing
Yeah, yeah,
as long as the business is designed to handle
yeah.
that situation.
What are your thoughts on? Obviously, you're gonna just tell me to test, but have you done like longer form? Like, I feel like I don't see as much long form body copy on Facebook as much as I used to. I remember, dude, I remember this ad. It was called Done For You VSL or Done For You Funnel.com, I think. Or he also had a thing like Done For You Upline, I think. But dude, the ad, he literally took his VSL script. It was very choppy, bulleted, kind of direct response. But that was literally the body copy. And it was like, I have it saved for like all these years ago, and it's super long, super bad reflection. This was his body
Hmm.
copy, all of that. And I was just thinking about this today. I'm like, okay, when some people like everyone zigs, I like to zag. I like to freaking go the other way. Cause it's like, oh shoot, have you messed with that at all? Do you still run long form body copy, or is it all in the creative now, the video, the image? Because people are scrolling so
Um,
fast.
so I tend to err on the side of like medium length. So it's enough to like sell enough, and it's
Yeah.
enough to elaborate. I think again, it depends on what you're
Yep.
selling. Where if you're like selling creatine monohydrate, you're like, everybody knows what that is. You just need to say like 100%
Nothing like
pure,
yeah.
cold process, like highest grade quality,
Yep.
70% off. Here you go. Link,
Yep.
right? But if you're selling something more complex that takes more pre-framing, then I think longer copy could work well. And
Yep.
again, test it. Actually, I did do a story style ad
Yeah.
recently that was pretty long, and it
That's what I'm
did
thinking
do
about
quite
doing. Like,
well.
so for like the offer, I'm publishing Mark Lack on the like the offer, like to teach help people transition from client work to offer ownership. There's like I have a personal story we can tell where like I remember being I took my wife to Arizona for spring break, and I remember like most of the trip I was just working because I had this client who was just like a nightmare client and needed the project done, was spamming me, and my wife was just like, "Can you come out and sit by the pool?" or like, "Can we hang?" And I'm just like, I have to get this done. And I remember like that trip. I don't. It was a good trip. We had some fun, but I'll never forget. It's like I spent all this money to take my wife on vacation. I'm just stuck serving my clients. I'm like, I'd love to tell that story as like, you know, a story to kind of hit on that pain point that people can relate to of like having to sacrifice their stuff and make more long term, really zoom in on like that real story. But I'm like, I haven't seen ads like that in a long time. So I guess I'll test it and see. But
I would test it. Like you could also make it where, let's say you write like the full long form version of it, then you could also just take that version,
Yeah.
give it to GPT, and be like, hey, make this like 50%
Medium.
shorter, right? Make it
Yeah.
medium length. And then you could even say, like, hey, try to condense this into like 250 words
True.
or whatever,
Yep.
or like something super short. And then you can
Yep.
have all three in the same ad set and just see which one does well, right?
Yeah. True. True. Just test it, run it.
But I think
Um,
story wise, though, people are more likely to read something longer. I think like it depends on what the purpose of the ad is. I think if it's like cold market, I think you can get away with longer. But if you're doing like a BOGO sale or
yeah,
something, or
yeah. You're
like
not
Black
going to
Friday
kill it.
sale, you don't
Yeah.
need to have like a crazy long thing.
Nah. You just go super direct. And then
Yeah.
I think we talked about before with ads, because people are probably gonna be like, how do you run ads to low ticket? Or it is so there's be so deep there. But at the core of it is your philosophy, isolate one variable at a time.
So like core of it is when you're just starting,
Yeah.
I like to do ad set budget campaign. That's like your creative testing campaign.
Yep.
And then every ad set is like a different creative. And that could be what I like to do now is, let's say you make a video ad for the low ticket, and it's like just change the first 5 seconds, or
Yeah,
just
yeah.
start the video at a different place and make two or three, maybe four different variations and put them in the same ad set, because fundamentally they're the same creative, just different hooks.
Hmm.
And then like images as well, you could have like different text on image for a couple different
Yeah.
images, or like I've done Apple Notes ads where it's like the dark theme versus light theme, but the same thing.
Funny.
All kinds of stuff like that. And then once you've got four to six winning ads, then you can create like an advantage shopping campaign or a manual CBO campaign and put those in there, and
Okay.
then let those rip. But yeah, I generally do quite a bit of creative testing on ad set budgets to isolate the variables and then graduate them to scaling campaigns afterwards.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Do you mess with like, so I know some people I talk to, like I know a dude and they just crossed 350,000 front end buyers for like $17 product. And they just did Chad CBO, isolate a variable in like a 3x3x2 method type thing. And
Oh,
like,
Charlie T style.
yeah, it's like he had his tester and then scaling, but they're both CBO. And so like, I obviously it's like, that's why everyone's different, but what are your
Yeah,
thoughts
actually,
on
so
that?
I saw a really big brand. I got to see under the hood. Won't say who they are, but a huge supplement company doing like 2,000 sales a day or something like that.
Oh,
Crazy. And it's their structure was they had, I think, two scaling campaigns
yep,
where like one of them was advantage shopping, one of them was CBO
yep,
manual. But then all their creative tests were actually their own. They were in a CBO by creative concept. So instead of doing ABO with like the four versions of the video, like I mentioned, or the two or three
yep.
versions of the image, like I mentioned, they would just make a new campaign and put it on CBO manual or whatever, and they would run it. And then if it worked well, then they would just graduate it to one of the two scaling campaigns. And like, so
Yep.
they'd have like 5, 6 different creative CBOs running at once. And then if they lose, they turn them off and replace them. And then they cycle the winning ads up into the main prospecting and scaling campaigns.
Interesting. Interesting.
Again, same concept, different buttons to press. It all works as
Yeah,
long as you
true.
follow the same like
Yeah.
overarching concept, then you'll be fine.
Yeah, that's why I'm always like at the end, I'm like, okay, philosophy is isolated variables so you know it works. Can like test more stuff to find more winning variables, scale the ones that win, make a bunch of money. That's my
I mean, that being said, I actually did some coaching calls with Chase Chappelle, and he's a smart dude. He's a pretty top G, but he actually had us for a little bit of time with the Black Book. We were
yep,
trying to find like ads that worked, and he's like, "Dude, you could fit 50 ads into a ad set or something, right?" So he's
yep.
like, "Just so this would be going the other way, but it's still a little. It's actually more Chad. It's even more Chad.
Is it the
So
micro budget stuff?
No, so that doesn't work. That was
You're like,
so
everything works except the micro budget.
except micro budget. I mean, I tried it. It didn't really work for me, and like it
That's
seems
great.
too micromanagey anyway.
Yeah.
So like basically, what he had us do was because it's like the theory is that like even just like everybody uses the learn more button. He's like if you change the call to action button in Meta to sign up or order now or download now or whatever different things, it might actually the same ad might hit into different pockets of different people that'll resonate with that
Oh,
CTA. So it's like let's say you have 50 ads, right? In
yep.
an ad set. You could literally do like he's like make every ad copy different than all other 49 ads. Every headline is different, every creative is different. Put something in the description that's different. Put the
Yep.
site links on, but like basically use every variable that's available and just make 50 unique ads that are completely different from each other. And I mean, even if you just made it where it's like you can have the same video a few times, but change other elements around because maybe different copy might work with the same video
Yeah. Yeah.
differently. And then he's like, then you just let Facebook decide and let the cream rise to the top of the ad set and let Facebook show you which one's going to earn the most spend and get you the best CPA. And when we did that, we lowered the CPA dramatically by
Isn't that
doing that.
isn't that just kind of like a massive CBO? Like, what's the difference between doing that in an ad set? Like, because isn't CBO Facebook will start spending towards whatever it thinks, then other ones will.
You could probably do the same exact thing in CBO. We just did
Yeah.
it in
Yeah.
ABO.
Yeah. But I
Again,
also,
same concept, different buttons.
yeah, true. Dang, bro. It's the 50 by 50 method.
Oh God, it's a pain in the ass to set up, and like most people won't do it, but it can work. And like the theory is that out of the 50, you're just looking for one or two of them to earn the majority of spend within that ad set, within that campaign,
Yep.
and hit your CPA, CPL, cost per book call targets or whatever.
Heck yeah. Love that. Sweet, dude. Well, I appreciate you jumping on. We'll have to do a little part two once I have more questions to spam you with, and as you
All
touched on
right.
about your new company. But do you want anyone? Do you want people to find you? Like, where the frick do you?
No,
No, yeah, that's
not
what I thought.
really.
Don't find him.
I don't think I've posted anything since like 2020 or something.
Yeah.
I probably should get on that. But when I
No,
do
that's all
have
right.
stuff to find that's worth finding me for,
There you go.
then I'll drop that
Well,
later. But for
yeah. So
now,
once I publish you, I'll make sure to we'll make sure to drop it. But until then, everyone enjoy this, save it, share it. Appreciate you, dog.
thanks for having me on.
And I want to find more of you. Let me know when you find your twin so I can hire him.
I'll let you know.
Bet.